What a beautiful day to take the boat down to the lake. Buckle your seatbelts because we are going back in time. While I wouldn't recommend taking it out on the water, this 1975 Imperial LeBaron hails from the golden age of American luxury barges. But first, a little backstory on this boat. Way back in 1926, Walter P. Chrysler himself decided to build a high-end luxury car called the Chrysler Imperial. Then in 1955, Imperial became its own separate brand to better compete with Lincoln and Cadillac. By the 1970s, American luxury was all about size. This Imperial stretches 233 inches and weighs in at over 5,000 pounds. In an attempt to save money, this generation of Imperial shared a lot of body panels with the lower-cost Chrysler New Yorker, the most noticeable difference being the front end. The long and low body looks as if it was sculpted with a meat cleaver, but the effect is not unpleasant. The slab sides flow nicely into the rounded corners, and along with the waterfall grille, this gives it a softer appearance than the squarish styling that came to dominate the late 70s and early 80s. All that real estate is adorned with typical luxury fads from that era, like the vinyl roof, rear fender skirts, concealed headlights, retractable antenna, and logos everywhere. Inside, the list continues with ribbed velour seats, fake wood grain, power windows, and not just any clock, but a chronometer, so you can measure your longitude while at sea. The black-on-black treatment makes the interior feel like a luxurious, velvety cocoon, albeit a spacious one. Being a true four-door hardtop, you have the pleasure of watching the world roll by without a door pillar obscuring your view. To motivate all this steel as you sail down the road, the Imperial has a 440 V8. These 7.2 liters churn out a whopping 215 horsepower, which runs through the car's 3-speed TorqueFlite automatic transmission. But there's a reason for that comically low horsepower rating. To meet the government's new pollution standards for 1975, engineers lowered the engine's compression ratios and added a catalytic converter to the exhaust system, resulting in significantly lower horsepower. Yet, the engine still provides more than enough oomph to propel the Imperial without too much trouble. What the car does do very well is isolate the driver from the harsh realities of the outside world. Yet it manages to do this without swaying like a boat in a storm. With front torsion bars and load-leveling rear suspension, it actually handled better than the other large automobiles of the 70s. This, along with the cushy, comfy interior, makes me wish I could drive it into my living room and park it in front of the TV as a replacement for my couch.
Here's a fun fact about the Imperial. This car had platinum-tipped spark plugs, four-wheel disc brakes, and even automatic climate control, all in 1975. At that point in time, the only other American car with four-wheel disc brakes as standard equipment was the Corvette.
For much of its history, Chrysler made the Imperial stand out with cutting-edge features like the first all-transistor car radio in 1955. It also was the first American car with curved side glass in 1957, and the first American car with four-wheel anti-lock brakes in 1971. But even with all those firsts, Imperial kept coming in second to the competition. Chrysler had a hard time justifying the cost of separate bodies and wheelbases for the Imperials, and the cars slowly started to share more parts with other models. Likewise, customers had a hard time justifying the price of a car that appeared to be little more than a dressed-up Chrysler. As a result, all Imperial production stopped in 1975, but the design lived on as the 1976 Chrysler New Yorker. They lowered the price and some of the standard equipment now became optional. The Imperial name saw a brief revival as a luxury coupe from 1981 to 83, but it failed to catch on. They also dusted it off one last time from 1990 to 93 as a top-of-the-line Chrysler model. But this K-car-based Imperial was a far cry from its glory days.
There's something a little sad about knowing you're driving the last of something. And technically, the Imperial did come back in the 80s for 3 years there, but this is the last of the big block Imperials. This is the last of what Imperial really was supposed to be, the best of the best. And there's a tragedy in that. And you can't help but feel like if you could get $1 billion and go back to the 70s and give it to Chrysler so they could keep making this car, maybe you would.
Some see the Imperial as nothing more than a wannabe Cadillac or Lincoln, but to believe this is to sell the brand short. During its 20-year life, Imperial pushed the industry forward with advanced technology. It produced some truly timeless designs, and it created a small empire of loyal fans along the way. It's easy to see why. Each time you get behind the wheel, you become the captain of your own personal luxury cruise. And that means every day is a good one to go sailing. We'd like to thank WCTL Radio for making this test drive possible. WCTL 106.3 serves Erie, Pennsylvania with contemporary Christian music and great teaching 24 hours a day. Listen to their live stream at WCTL.org. If you have a cool car you'd like to see in a video, shoot us an email. And don't forget to check out our blog and follow us on Facebook.